Okay, quiet in the studio. We are about to start.
Oh, here we go. I'll just get my Playboy magazine out.
Right, that's it. Are you going to shut up?
What?
Shut up.
It's like...
Okay, shut up. Here we go. Well, hello there. This is your delightful, delicious, delovely pub landlord of that digital pub called Cheshire Matters. And we have the normal culprits here with us tonight. Say hello, the Gazelle.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome.
There you go. A.K.A. Mr. Trevor Nicholls. And we have Statsman, that very, very clever man, that man that comes up with most of the facts and also predicts the future. Say hello, Statsman.
How do, gentlemen? Or should I say gentle people?
Gentle people.
Right, and also... lovely listeners.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mark.
And a big hello to them, too.
And we also have that man. He is synonymous with the mute button. He is the Raven, a.k.a. Steve Ingram. Say hello, Steve.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. All right. Now we're going to get on.
I did well there.
I was going to say, is he feeling all right?
He is Mr. Minimalist this evening.
How long do you have to go on at the start about yourself?
I
tell you what,
I didn't.
Going down to the pub with you, you're talking about yourself all the time. I'll see you clear the room in 30
Honestly,
seconds.
that is just an absolute, total and utter misconstruction of the truth. I didn't go on about myself. I just said hello,
the delightful,
hello.
The lovely, this, that, and the other.
That's right. I am.
Oh.
That is the truth. And I only speak the truth.
It's his personal truth.
Correct.
Well, he identifies as those things, but the reality is something different.
Have you been talking to my wife?
Yes. She tells us everything about you.
Okay.
The actual truth.
Let's get on with the roundup. And let's start off. Lord King, former governor of the Bank of England, said it is time for interest rate hikes to be over. Woohoo. Well, what a comment that is. Do you think it's going to happen, or do you think it's going to go up?
I think it'll go up.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Stats? Go up?
They were way too slow doing it in the first place. I don't think it's going to stop just yet.
Okay. Peter Hitchens, he says we need a serious debate about the death penalty.
Yeah.
I'd go with that, given recent events and various other things, especially people sort of murderers and paedophiles, top of the list.
Yeah.
What are you going to debate? You're going to be dead anyway.
Yeah,
what are you debating about?
What about the NatWest boss who quit over Nigel Farage scandal may get a 2.4 million payout? 2.4 million. And
this is the usual rewarding failure in Britain, isn't it? You know?
Nigel Farage blasts it as a sick joke, this payout. Obviously, and the Daily Mail comment is all about it, saying, block this grotesque reward for failure. But that's this country, isn't it? It is reward for failure at the moment in every respect. I can't see it changing too soon, to be honest with you.
No, I can't. I think it's now entrenched. It's endemic. And last week, in relation to Chester, we were talking about the absolute catastrophic consequences of failure and failure to act. And in my view, this country now needs serious leadership and a serious upheaval of public service.
Absolutely.
Nothing will change until you change the voting system.
I would go along with that. What do you say, Stats? Do you say the same?
Yeah, I'm totally black-pilled these days.
Right, okay, here's your next one. The Met Police is accused of abdicating their responsibility in the case of a serial rapist officer as it emerges that Scotland Yard missed 7 chances to catch this guy. And the name of the guy is PC Adam Provan, who was recently sentenced to 16 years for raping a fellow officer and a 16-year-old girl. And they had the opportunity to get him 7 times. Snip, snip.
Sorry, John. I don't really know what we're able to say about these situations anymore. It's frequent. Nothing is done about anything. Another appalling example of failure and the consequences. At what point is this country going to return to a justice system that works, a justice system that punishes people adequately, and a system in the public sector whereby people are doing their jobs effectively to avoid situations like this? And it comes down to standards, it comes down to traditional ways and proper leadership.
Well, you're not going to be surprised because more than half of all police officers reported for abusing their position for sex in the past 5 years are still serving. There you go. So that backs up what you're saying. I honestly don't know. What about that man at the UN who says that the UK cannot ignore calls for slavery reparations? He's a judge.
Oh, sound, are we getting some back from the Islamic Caliphate then?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about Rome, to be honest with you. I was going to go hit Italy.
Yeah.
Well, I was going back to the Vikings.
What about Egypt?
I was thinking that, yeah. Still waiting for Steve to cough up.
We've been waiting a long time. I've got long pockets and short arms. And to be quite frank, my mates back in the day who did what they did, that's it. So hard luck.
Well, has anybody heard about the BBC manipulating a white voter's hand to make it look black? Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
No, can you explain for the benefit of the listeners and myself, actually? I don't really know what this is about. I've not heard the story.
It was about a hand in a box going to vote. And the BBC, actually, they took the decision to Photoshop the picture and make the white hand appear black. Basically, virtue signaling of the worst kind. Go ahead, Mark.
Problem is, everyone's picked up on this one, but what the thing they should have picked up on was the fact they doctored another report where there was a paedophile who was done, and he was like a pride organizer and a drag show act, whatever you want to call it. And then they've scrubbed that, doctored that article, and now he's just a man. So everyone's kind of missed that one and going with a hand. But yeah, let them crack on. I don't even know why anyone bothers with the BBC, to be honest. It's just don't feed the flowers and they'll die.
They're losing viewers and they're losing money.
They got any viewers?
Yeah.
2.
There's a few.
Losing our money.
Well,
not losing my money.
What about Nadine Dorries? She has confirmed her resignation. And there's going to be a by-election in September.
At last.
At last. At long last.
She's growing on me head, actually.
She's growing on you? Wait a minute. Let's have a look at your shoulder. Is there a chip on your shoulder there? She's growing on you?
No, I just think she speaks her mind. It's good.
Well, she had a real mad go at Rishi Sunak. Basically, she savaged him in the resignation letter. Well, he needs savaging anyway, but she's going to do a tell-all in a book that she's writing. Did you know that she's a very prolific fiction writer?
Well, she's been an MP for hell knows how long, so
she had the time.
Did she write the manifesto?
So she had the time to actually write the books. Yeah. So anyway, she's quit her seat. What about the NHS accused of trying to erase women as trusts sign up to a scheme?
I think we covered this a while back, if I remember correctly.
Well, it's come up again. The NHS is accused of trying to erase women as dozens of trusts sign up to Rainbow Badge scheme that marks down hospitals for using words like mother.
What's that smell? I smell Stonewall. It's a real bad stench.
Yeah.
Makes me sick.
Well, the MPs are calling for ministers to step in after trusts joined NHS Rainbow Badge scheme. So dozens of hospitals have signed up to be graded by trans rights charities who tell them to stop using the terms mother and woman. And the angry MPs have called for ministers to step in after 77 trusts joined the NHS Rainbow Badge scheme, which rewards them for dropping gendered language from policies, forms and signs. Go ahead, Stats.
So when a man wants to be a woman, he calls himself a trans woman. So we're going to get rid of the word woman. So what is he? A trans?
Trans.
None of their logic. I can't even call it logic. None of it makes sense. It's all cuckoo, I'm sorry, but erase women are going to do that in the maternity ward, are they?
They should just tell them to stop it and go get lost.
Well, you're right, Mark. Our language is getting to the point where none of it actually makes sense anymore. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, we discussed this on the specials. I mean, what are we hearing? Like, words of violence? No, that's not what that means.
No.
Wasn't GB News the other day apparently kissing that Spanish FIFA official who kissed one of the players, a little peck on the lips. He was probably really excited. He just won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Apparently he's misogynist. So I think I might have left a comment.
How do they
GB
work
News,
that
you
out?
think you need a dictionary? I know, because a misogynist is someone who hates women. So, I mean, kissing them, that's a funny way of showing hatred, that, isn't it? But, you know,
absolutely.
we are in upside-down clown world.
Yeah.
Go on,
Good
Trev.
point, There's something on Talk Radio the other day. No, not the other day, today, sorry.
Well, there's
And he
something
was
on Talk
discussing
Radio every day.
Yeah, not Talk Radio.
Yeah, Tories.
Talk TV. Yeah, Tory TV it should be.
Mm.
Yeah, and one of the presenters went to hospital. He had a stomach problem, and he's in his 70s. And he asked him if he could be pregnant.
What? Get out.
Play the game. Say, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to
pregnant.
do? Then what? They put you on the maternity ward.
70-year-old man, and he asked him if he could be pregnant.
That's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Wouldn't he have been through the menopause? So he probably wouldn't be able to get pregnant, would he?
Ooh,
You know what I mean? Let's play their game.
I know all this is ludicrous.
And ask them for some ask for some contraception. Have you got any contraceptive tablets, please? Because I'm worried. I'm sleeping around. Also, could you check me for any sexually transmitted diseases that women normally suffer from?
See, I think I might have mentioned this. A guy went and asked for a smear test.
Oh.
And the doctor had to kindly say, you can't have one of them. And it was a trans. He was like, why? Oh, come on. I would have cracked on with the smear test.
What about if they have the uterus transplants? I mean, Jesus, they're talking about it now.
Well, it might work with women, but I'd love to see that work on a man. Because when they come to give birth with men hips, it's really not going to work, is it?
No, it isn't.
No, the baby will probably die, so
Yeah.
good
I'm
luck.
just thinking about the guy Trevor mentioned, a 70-year-old man who went to the doctors, and they're asking him if he could be pregnant. You're talking about people of that generation who fought for this country for everything that it is, and they must be in absolute bewilderment
What's
at
being
what
said
the
to them.
hell has happened to this country when you hear stupid, ridiculous nonsense like that. It's
I agree with
pathetic.
Steve, because he said he always wears a condom.
The left would reason this one out and they'd say, yes, that they all fought in the war for the right for men to get pregnant.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's the logic. Lunatics. But
Well,
anyway.
okay. Talk about war. It looks like that we are going to war with X, Twitter, because I have to say, with great pride, gentlemen, our account was blocked today because we have violated the rules for violent speech. Okay, and I will read out
Violent speech.
violent speech. These people
Okay.
are so stupid. It's just unbelievable. Ready? This was the tweet that I put out, and it was about the ULEZ cameras. Yep, because, you know, they were supposed to come live today. Well, 10% of them anyway. But there you go. All right.
where's the other 90% then?
All busted,
Dead.
baby, by the Blade Runners, general public, everybody that hates the policy. The world and his dog is attacking him, but Sadiq Khan still thinks that this is the way to go. So I said this. I said, and this is to Sadiq Khan, so it's at Sadiq Khan. You have now made yourself the most hated politician in Londonistan. That's what I called it. Same as Scotland, it's Jockistan. Okay. All right. Looking forward to your political demise and political castration by Starmer and co. Boom. Blocked. So I sent a message to Elon
Sorry, John,
Musk.
to anybody intelligent, that was all metaphoric throughout.
Yeah. They don't know that. I mean, they're stupid. They really are stupid. And they've got...
They're not stupid. They know exactly what you meant.
Oh, yeah. So so basically what they're doing is they're basically supporting Sadiq Khan. They're taking sides, with people.
Censoring you.
Yeah, they're censoring.
Exactly.
He came on. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Stats. He came on saying Twitter was going to be a platform for freedom of speech.
Correct. He was interviewed, I think it might have been the BBC, and they asked him why he bought Twitter, and his reasoning was free speech. That's not why he bought Twitter, we know that, but that's what he was saying.
I no longer trust Elon Musk, and I'm telling you the truth, and I don't think anybody else should. So they're going to unblock the account tomorrow, and I'm just going to stick a very British 2 fingers up to Elon Musk. And if anybody is thinking of advertising with these people have actually got the same people in that they had when they got rid of Trump. And I'm sorry, but, that's the case. Nobody should trust Elon Musk anymore. Go ahead, Mark.
As soon as he put that WAF woman in charge, mate, she loves the censorship. It was obvious. Anyway, I'm just looking at your tweet, and I see one issue. How can you castrate a man with no testicles?
Well, that's true.
That's my take on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have the balls to admit that he's wrong.
No.
It's as simple as that. But he's broken that trust with me and with Cheshire Matters. And as far as I'm concerned, you did warn me, Stats. You did warn me. You said to me long ago that somewhere along the line you're going to get hammered because basically if you're saying things that annoy people, which we obviously have annoyed certain people.
Crybabies on the left.
Well, that's something, yeah.
I know. So there it is. So as it is, they can do whatever they want. As far as I'm concerned, I've got no trust in Musk or X.
Do you know, I have to send a few emails to get my account back after about 4 or 5 years. I've not even bothered using it. I checked it out and it was still a cesspit of lefty crybabies. And I could see everyone still getting banned. And I just thought, he's a big fat liar. I'm not interested.
It's
an
echo chamber. It's an echo chamber. I've sent off a request for a subject access request for all information regarding and surrounding the account. And I've asked them to be able to put that together. Now, your prediction, Mark, is that nobody's going to respond because they're so big and they've got so much money, they can just do whatever the hell they want. Well, in actual fact, they can't, because if they're not adhering to GDPR rules, then in this country, they're breaking the law. So this is a point, and I hope that Elon Musk listens to this, because you can be as big and brave as you want and hiding behind, the skirts of the people that you've got down there, blocking people who are actually looking for a proper platform to speak their mind. But if you are not adhering to legislation, and I'll bring Stats in, then I'm sorry, but you're breaking the law. Go ahead, Stats.
It was only a few weeks back that Elon said he was going to fund everybody's legal fees against if they've been, they've been treated badly or in work or lost their jobs due to tweets.
Well, in that case, then I think that we should actually ask Elon Musk to fund a legal action about Cheshire Matters with X.
Against himself.
Against himself.
It should be fun, shouldn't it? Let's test his logic too.
Yeah, let's test it.
I tell you what, he's been on Twitter with all these lefties. The logic's rubbing off on him.
Well, that's all I've got to say is what a stupid name, Musk.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. So there's the news on that. And the last one, and I think we should actually pay attention to this, because I think anybody that's involved with money is going to be paying attention to this. And this is bricks. Now, Steve, I know that you're going to say that you are surrounded by bricks in your house.
Yes.
I have absolutely no doubt. And we're all surrounded by bricks. But what I'm talking about is bricks. Now, it was actually a Goldman Sachs banker that actually came up with the idea of bricks, which was to denote Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
You did say banker, didn't you?
Yeah, banker. And he was writing about investment opportunities in nations set to become the world's top emerging economies. But now those 5 nations have become BRICS, and they've invited, it was a 5-member group, and they've invited a group of developing nations to expand the alliance further to include Argentina, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and United Arab Emirates in a bid to provide a counterweight to the dominance of Western alliances in global affairs. There you go. I've opened it up. Go ahead, the Raven. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is no surprise, really, because Robert Kiyosaki's been predicting this for well over 3 decades that I know about. Now, Robert Kiyosaki is one of the world's most renowned investors. He's a very wealthy man. He understands the markets. And he's predicted for a very long time not only the weakening, but the eventual collapse of the petrochemical dollar.
Yeah.
Now, this guy is decades ahead of the West in terms of what was likely to happen and what appears to be happening, that the American currency is continuously going to be weakened.
Especially under Biden. No doubt about that.
Absolutely. Now, this, to me, is very worrying in the sense that our currency is inextricably linked to the dollar. And this is a massive problem for some nations, Europe, our country, and the States. And you're seeing a switch of the power bases take place. And, we spoke a while ago about the gold standard and various other things to do with the economy and things like that. And I'm not surprised. This is it's all been predicted.
Well, yeah. I'm not surprised, but I don't think it's all about money. I also think it's about politics and geopolitics.
Oh, it is. It's about control. It's taking the power base away. This is what I'm saying. It's not just about the money. But if you affect the money, if you affect the value and the control of money in another nation where it's been for so long based on the petroleum aspect and various things like that, the dollar and taking away the gold reserve.
I don't really know. I mean, I know some of these countries who've just been brought in have got, between them, have got a lot of oil.
Yeah, they've also got a lot of natural assets.
So if you think about it, if there was to be a World War III and they were all with Russia, I think we've got a problem there.
Well, the main one you got to look at is if they're all with China, because China's seen that as a way to take the lead. There's about 40 of them lined up to join.
If you look at it, if you look at the top 10 economies in the world, only China and India are in that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure they're going to take America's dominance that way. I mean, there are signs the dominance might end from America. Some of the markets are declining from a previous high, but they've been known in the past to up the game. I'd say if they can get a decent president back in, like Trump, who will go back to America first, and do what he was doing, there's probably a chance of them bouncing back. China are on the climb, their economy, but they've got a demographic problem. They've got a massively aging population. But what makes it for them is they are like one of the main exporters. They just produce everything.
Yeah,
we've got to be looking at that ourselves in the West.
Yeah, well, that's one of the main
America
problems.
do, but we don't. So America might be able to hold firm, but we might struggle.
Well, yeah, but all these countries, and I'm going to bring Steve in shortly on this, all these countries have economies that are so different in scale and governments with, well, completely different foreign policy goals. The West isn't going to be able to see them as any form of a threat at the moment. But they're stupid. Because the Chinese are not stupid. They play the long game. Go ahead, Steve.
There is something which is being overlooked here, and that is the fact that America's debt is in the trillions.
Trillions, yeah.
Part of the reason why their currency is actually being consistently devalued is the fact that all they are doing is printing money. That's it.
Well, where do you think most of the gold is?
That's it.
Most of the gold rests with the BRICS companies.
That's what I'm saying. How America doesn't really have the same level of resources as these collective countries have between them. And it doesn't have anything upon which to back its currency up on. It's just printed money. It's fiat currency. It's nothing. It's worthless. And the debt is just mounting and mounting and mounting. So they have nothing to drive their economy forward with, which has real substantive value. And yet these other countries, they're growing their economies. They have resources. They're backing it with real collateral.
Yeah.
And this is the threat. This is a threat. America really doesn't have anything to back its currency upon.
Will you give way to the stats man? And if the Gazelle wants to say anything, after stats. Go ahead, stats.
You mentioned political as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's right. If you listen to some of the speeches Putin makes, he goes on about colonialism.
He's jabbing at the West. There's no two ways about that.
He is. But what do you think he's trying to do is trying to turn some of us against our own governments, which isn't hard, is it, to be honest?
No, the governments in our country are helping us to turn against them.
Yeah, it's all the woke stuff. But I wouldn't get too excited about that because they still are the political enemies. I mean, the likes of Saudi and Iran, they've got a cheek. The major Islamic countries, to go on about things like colonialism and stuff.
Yep.
I think it's all just another front just to cause trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're going about it in a few different ways, obviously, the economies and the money, but definitely political, I think, as well. Try and take some of that dominance back from America, which won't be hard with that dozy Biden in charge, will it?
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
That guy wouldn't last 2 minutes, not even 2 seconds, without a teleprompter.
He's in bed with China, though, isn't he? So he's probably in on all this, isn't he?
Yeah. Go ahead, the Gazelle.
Yeah, I mean, they sound right, motley crew, don't they? Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China.
Argentina is in there as well.
Well, yeah, Argentina's in there now. I mean, there's more joining as well, isn't there?
Yeah, 40 of them.
And I really can't see them gelling at all because they all seem to be at a tangent with each other, don't they?
Well, in certain cases. I mean, if you look at India and China, they have problems with borders. They have fights over borders.
The soldiers have been fighting, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't see it going anywhere at all. And what Steve was on about earlier on about the petrodollar, American control that as regards Libya, didn't they? Remember Gaddafi Duck?
Yeah.
When Gaddafi was in charge, he was basically negotiating with South Africa to get to change the petrodollar.
Indeed.
And we all know what happened to him.
Yep.
And this is just another step forward for these countries to basically get rid of.
Well, they've all got an axe to grind with the West in one way or another. Yeah, and exactly. They're looking for a way to actually come together. Now, the problem is under China and India, who are pretty big economies, because remember now, China is the second biggest economy in the world. Yes,
is that the same as Trump's China?
China, yes. But I can tell you now, they've got more cash at hand than America and the rest of the West at home. The only person that's probably got more cash is Rothschild. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's a BlackRock. I think they've actually got more.
They'll come. No. Actually, it's got to be the Rothschilds. They're rumored to have something like about, I think it was 4 or 5 trillion, something like that.
Well, I could have that if you had a printer machine and just printed it, because that's all that takes place.
Well, therein lies another argument.
That's how it works. They just print money.
Well, okay. Well, let's round that one up. That was interesting. Final comment from Stats, and then we're going to move on to something local.
They still haven't got as many countries as NATO, I don't think. I think that's what they're trying to do. A little bit of an opposition, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know what we should do? We should say to India and the likes, okay, you don't need our foreign aid anymore. You go and get it from Russia. You go and get it from China. Ta-da now.
God, did you see that comic book landing of that?
Yeah, it didn't look real, did it?
It did. For some reason,
it's just not real.
Didn't look real.
I could probably make something better on a dodgy old laptop, to be honest.
Oh, it was just unbelievably. Anyway, so everybody's sort of clapping and stuff like that. But anyway, right, okay, we're going to be moving on. Let's go on to a local story, and this is with the Ravens. So we're here for the next hour.
Don't get me pillow.
Not only do we need a pillow, we need a sleeping pill.
I say them every week before I come on here. Listen
Hey,
to you.
what? Don't be having a go. Don't be having a go. All right, okay. Well, this is about Blake and Community Forum meeting. And I'll just set this up. I'll just say, I think these guys are a bunch of idiots. They are being taken for a ride, and they do not understand it. Go ahead.
Right.
Where do you
Sharp
start?
intake of breath, because I've been pursuing these sort of things in Blake to tell the Blaken people for many, many, many years. Here we go. Now, I'm going to introduce the listener to something called the Blaken Community Forum, which, out of love of this forum that I've had for many years, I refer to it, along with some of my friends, as the Blaken Communist Forum. Now, this is actually a meeting chaired by a local councillor at the time, whoever it is, and one or more councillors attend. Now, it's worth, unless it's changed, because myself and some friends a few years back inquired about this due to various shenanigans going on at these meetings.
And this could be any community forum within the country. So everybody thinking that we're just picking this one in Cheshire, this could be a reflection of any community forum. As soon as we get some idiots in charge of something,
yes,
and they think that they're actually being listened to by the council and the local councillors and all the rest of it, because they will attend the meeting, they are sadly mistaken, because as we have found out from the monitoring officer, Vanessa White, no councillor is responsible for any communications whatsoever.
Well,
go ahead, Steve.
Listen to this. A few years ago, when we had some different councillors, there was various things going on at these meetings. And myself and some other people who used to attend, a group we had going at the time, and many other people, anytime we ever asked questions of public interest, particularly involving public use of public money, we were always met with howls and being shouted down, and our characters and integrity being brought into question for asking perfectly legitimate questions.
And that was only from us.
Of the public. Yes, just be quiet for a minute. Now, I'm picking up some Labour councillor tips here. Now, it says here, I'm going to make an important point before I say this, and I'm going to ask Mark to comment, because I know he's picked up on certain things to do with this. Now, we're going to simply stick, if we may, with the advert for the Blake and Community Forum meeting, and just stick with that.
There's got adverts.
Well, it appeared online, and the meeting is on Tuesday, the 5th of September. And it's where everything is supposedly open and transparent, and people can ask questions and things like this and raise issues. I'll come to that in a minute.
Transparent?
Well, it isn't really. Now, it's from 5:30 for a 6 p.m. start. It usually lasts about 2 hours, but at the end of which you've usually lost the will to live. It says here, it's a public meeting. No filming or recording will be allowed. I'm going to ask Mark to comment on that shortly.
Make a note of that, stats man. He's going to be looking for your thoughts on that. Yes.
A few years ago, going back a few years, myself and my friends who had a group going in Blake, and we inquired with the council because of various things going on at these meetings.
Hang on. A group of my friends. Have you got any friends?
Yeah, it's very good.
Not in Blaken, not with the in crowd.
I apologise.
And,
Steve. Sorry.
But you wouldn't want to be part of the in crowd in Blaken. You wouldn't want to be part of them.
I will make a little serious point here. I know we joke about, but I'll tell you now, I'd rather have the company on this podcast than some of the people who want you to do things for them in Blaken. They then won't support you publicly, and then they back out and want to hide behind the sofa.
And then as soon as the opportunity comes up, they take the positions for themselves to make them look as if they're the ones that are doing the do. And in actual fact, the truth of the matter is, you've been fighting for Blaken for years. And then all of a sudden, we get these new crowd come in, and they all want, because the council didn't want to deal with you, because you were going to get down to some real nitty-gritty details about what was going on. And they didn't want to deal with you, but they're dealing now with these people, and these people think that the council are listening to them. and they're taking them for fools. They're taking them for fools. Go ahead.
Here's the key point, John. When we inquired a few years ago about the Blacon Community Forum, now other councillors in other areas of Quack have council recognised community forums, whereby whatever takes place at those meetings comes under the jurisdiction of the monitoring officer, and it's fully council recognised. But the last time we inquired, the Blacon Community Forum meeting does not come under the council because it is not a council recognised meeting, and therefore whatever takes place there is simply down to the councillors operating, it's a bit bizarre, really, as councillors, but not recognised as a council meeting, if you can work that out. Now,
are you going to give Statson in now to let him have a go at the public side?
I'm going to ask Mark to comment, first of all, on the no filming and recording, because they want their little clan in attendance to have their say and debate everything, but they don't want it going out to the wider audience. And also, will Mark comment, if he will, because I'll leave this bit to him, on the code of conduct at the bottom of the advertisement.
Well, it was a bit like Louise Gittins not wanting to take a named vote on their salary increases that they all voted for at the beginning of the year in May when they first started. So we already know the style of this Labour controlled council, so we know what the score is. Go ahead, Mark.
There's so many things wrong with this. I'll come to the filming and stuff, but is this just an illusion, where they appear to be giving the people of Blacon a say, when in fact we all know it's going to be the nodding dogs, isn't it?
Correct.
Or is this a certain group who now have control over what they call planning? The planning forum. I don't believe that for 1 minute, Steve.
No.
I really do. I mean, what does designated planning forum actually mean?
No, there's two separate things going on at the moment, Mark, which is this new one that's been set up is not really anything to do with the Blacon Community Forum. And there's two sort of clans, if you like, or sets of groups of people. And I think one group, a new one, is potentially, in my view, I suspect, being infiltrated by somebody on the other side to give people in Blacon the impression, like you say, that they're being listened to. Now, whether that's right or not, I don't really know. But the fact of the matter is the Blacon Community Forum meetings for many, many years has been a place where the little clan, as you refer to, and their nodding dogs attend. And if anybody turns up who's not part of the setup and asks questions, they're howled down. Now, this is the interesting part. Blacon Community Forum meetings is somewhere where, for many years, big issues and big decisions have been made with regards to Blacon, including huge amounts of funding, many other things. And these meetings are not actually recognised by the council. So does that mean everything that's taking place is not legal?
That's a good question. I'm all for people having a greater say. I even made that one of my campaigns in the local elections, but it should be for everybody, not a select group of people. Proper democracy, give everyone a vote, wouldn't it? But
if it's in a public place, Stats.
Well, this is what I'm going to say.
They should be able to film. Go ahead.
Where's the meeting being held?
You hit on a very interesting point, Mark, because it's being held at the Parade Enterprise Centre, which is run by Avenue Services.
So it's public property.
Is it public or private?
Well, it's a public-private partnership because Avenue Services is a public-private partnership.
And the actual partnership is more, the percentage is higher for the public than it is for Avenue Services.
No, it's the other way around.
Is it the other way around?
The council has a 49% share and Avenue Services, the other 51% is held by a social housing provider. Now, the other part to that is that partnership, many assets, which myself and other people tried to warn Blacon residents about many years ago, they transferred lots of land and buildings in Blacon to Avenue Services. So they handed over the majority stake of public-owned assets in Blacon to a housing provider, and the council's in partnership with it. But also, councillors are appointed directors to the Board of Avenue Services, whereby their head office address as directors is the head office of the housing provider. So you've got councillors as directors directly linked to the majority stakeholder of assets which were transferred to them. Big conflict of interest, big issue.
If it's public, they can't stop you from filming. If it's private, they probably can't anyway, but what they could do is ask you to leave. And if you don't, it's aggravated trespass, and then they can have you removed. But my point is, you said there was codes of conduct for the meeting. So if this is an informal meeting, then what are the codes of conduct exactly? Whatever they make up.
And who controls them and who decides whether anybody is transgressing? But
the ironic thing here is now codes of conduct matter, do they? So when we're continually complaining to people that they're not being upheld, you're not upholding your oaths and your conduct, we just get told, doesn't matter, they can do what they want. But now there's an informal meeting where it only says on there update and question and answer. So that tells me they are being fed a lie. They're not really going to get a say. So what do we need to do to get answers now from councillors? We have to hold a meeting, do we?
No, I think
we'll just make up our own codes of conduct, and the code of conduct is you have to answer our questions.
No, and this is the first thing we need to do, and it was a suggestion from Steve. We need to do a series of leaflets and go out and get some exercise, and we're going to start off in Louise Gitten's ward, Little Neston, and start getting some messages out. And then any of the councillors that are getting on our nerves, we just target them and we go into their wards and start telling people a few home truths. Go ahead, Stats.
They've given you the answer at the bottom of this advert. It says those who refuse to abide by the code of conduct, whatever that might be at whatever given time or whatever lefty decides it is, you will not be able to participate in meetings in the future. So you won't be invited. So that's all they're going to do.
Yeah, so they're just going to cancel you.
If they can physically throw you out for having an opinion, then
well,
maybe someone should turn up and start filming it.
You may as well go in with 3 or 4 bouncers.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
And say, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
how are you going to throw me out?
The next one. Ooh, you're only asking questions anyway.
That's right. Go ahead, Steve.
Getting updates.
Let me tell you this: I've asked repeatedly when they've ever held an AGM and who the chair is and who votes for the chair. It doesn't exist.
It's a fake meeting then, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are they so scared of? You look at this advert, right? The top 4 or 5 lines, big bold letters, and the bottom, say, quarter of it is all about codes of conduct. Do the right things. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do the other. And then there's a little bit in the middle that you can hardly even read unless you zoom in about what's actually going on. What is it? Why are they so scared?
Yep.
There's no need to put any of that stuff on there. This is just a friendly meeting and everyone's coming from the community to discuss things. Why does all this need to be on here in big, bold... Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Do not question us.
Yeah.
Final comments, please. Final comments on this, please.
Yes, I'd just like to raise a very, very important point, actually, given the fact...
Right, this is another hour. Go on, guys.
This is a community forum led by a councillor or councillors, not recognised, as I understand, unless it's changed by the council. It says here, any other business, if you have any issue you would like to raise, please let Sandra Hewitt, Glenys Murphy, I'm not sure who Glenys Murphy is, know before the start of the meeting and telephone a particular number.
Who's Sandra Hewitt?
Now, exactly. I'll tell you.
And there we go. Forewarned is forearmed.
Sandra Hewitt either works for the social housing provider or Avenue Services. At one point, she did work for Avenue Services, but I think she may now work for the social housing provider who is the majority stakeholder in Avenue Services. Okay. And the point to make here is this. I put this on social media, and it was met with stunned silence, apart from 1 or 2 who did comment, if I remember right. Why do you have to contact an employee of either the social housing provider or Avenue Services to raise an issue in your community at a meeting which is not necessarily recognised by the council, to talk to your local councillor?
Yeah.
In a meeting which is not permitted to be filmed or recorded. It's a mess, isn't it, really?
It's a mess. Okay, I'm calling time on that one. Steve, you got away with the going to the bar at the last podcast. Now it's time to go.
Well, I've got an announcement to make regarding to going to the bar.
Come on, get that digital coin out. Everybody cheer for Steve because he's going to get his wallet out. Go ahead.
No, I'm not going. I'm not going to the bar anymore because I am now teetotal on our podcast day.
What? Teetotal on your podcast day? I think this guy is just evading things. Okay, well, okay. Let's go for any shout-outs, shout-downs. I'm going to start straight off. I'm going to shout down Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, straight away. Straight away. He gets a shout-down. So does Louise Gittins. So does Vanessa Whiting. So does anybody in this country that stands for the bullshit that they keep on trying to force on the British public. So there you go. So that's me out of the way. Go ahead. Stats?
Oh, that was a lot of shout downs. I think you stole them. Can we stick Sadiq Khan in there?
Yeah, that's right. Sadiq Khan as well. He can go. He can go shove it where the sun doesn't shine either.
I'll do a shout out then, and it's to the 1,600 scientists, including 2 Nobel laureates, who have declared climate emergency a myth. Thank you. Finally.
Oh, what? That is just so good. I mean, I watched one of those videos that you sent through. Where this guy was actually going against John Kerry. And John Kerry said, is this a serious conversation? And he said, well, you tell me. I mean, you keep on coming up with these jokey things, but there you go.
I might have to shout down the media as well. They've half told the truth about all the wildfires. They tell you that someone, people are being arrested for setting them. Who are they and why, though?
Yeah.
But then halfway down all the articles, it still says scientists think it's climate change.
Indeed.
So unless the climate's changing people's minds to go and light some fires, then I don't. It's all a load of nonsense.
Indeed. Okay, Raven, go on. We haven't got an hour. Go ahead.
Chop.
Yeah, my shout-out down is to Vanessa Whiting, Louise Gittins, Rishi Sunak, Blacon councillors, the Blacon Communist Forum, people who vote for Labour, people who vote for Conservatives, the deluded pair of voters, sets of voters who vote for those 2 stupid, absolutely asinine parties, both playing the same game, both selling the British public down the river, both destroying this country. And if you vote Labour and if you vote Conservative, you need to go and get assessed.
Assessed. Psychologically, you are deficient. Go ahead to the Gazelle. Hey.
Well, I'm going to give us, it's a channel of hope, basically.
Ooh.
Inflation in
Well,
Zimbabwe.
the channel is of hope for a lot of people. They're crossing it every day, Trevor.
That actually covers it, Steve, because inflation in
Channel of
Zimbabwe...
hope. That's what it's called now, the channel of hope. The channel of milk and honey and free benefits.
Yeah, totally agree.
In 4-star hotels, while 250,000 people are sleeping in tents in this country.
Intense.
Intense.
It is intense.
Go ahead.
Intense.
Go ahead. Let's let this guy go on. Go on, Trev.
The channel of hope is that inflation in Zimbabwe at the moment is 175%. And 1/5 of the population is leaving for work. And we're back to the channel again because they're all coming here. But the ray of hope is that the inflation in Zimbabwe is 175%. That's a lot higher than ours.
All right. Okay.
I mean, ours is heading that way, but, that's the fact.
Well, Rishi isn't going to be there long enough to be able to comment on that one, but there you go. Anything else to comment on?
No, I totally agree with you on that.
Okay.
Rishi's definitely not going to be there long enough.
Well, in that case, then, it's time to say... Time to say goodbye, good night, sayonara, auf Wiedersehen, arrivederci. Go ahead, Stats, say goodbye.
I'll say ta-ra to our lovely listeners.
Indeed.
And a pleasure as always.
Do you know what? Do you know what? He's got the voice. He really does.
Oh, I've thought of a new name. They call Labour and Conservatives the Uni Party. Well, I think we'll call them the Uni Traitors.
Uni traitors, yeah, they're traitors to this country.
Spot on, Marcus. That's exactly how they are. They're selling the people down the line.
Yeah, just come out with that one now. It's good.
Very good. Yeah, go ahead. Raven, go ahead.
What? Oh, yes, goodbye. Yeah. Well, I'll just say good night to all the Labour Party activists and members. Hope you're sitting down to your evening there. and reading your Karl Marx over and over again. We don't want that crap in this country. So put them away, burn your Karl Marx books, and get back to reality and be patriotic. If you don't want to be patriotic, get on a boat and head over the other side of the water. Ta-ra.
And also stop consorting with criminals. Go ahead.
Yes, big one there.
Big one there. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gazelle.
See ya.
See ya. All right. See ya. Okay. Well, there you go. That's it. It's the end. Thank God that's all over. Okay.
That's what I say.
Do you think we're going to get banned from the web now? Is Elon going to have the, the say? Because I said...
I'll bring it on.
I told Elon to go himself.
I don't really care anymore, John, to be quite frank. I'm at the point I don't care. I'm sick of these people ruining this country. I really am.
Oh, yeah.
All these politicians in this country, I don't give a damn. They come knocking on my door. If they knock on my door, or the authorities now, I'll just open the door and punch them in the face. I couldn't care.